Hi, I'm Ben.
Hi, I'm Claire.
And we are High
Hi.
Drinks.
Well, so this week is Negroni week, and something that's been on our to-do list for a while has been to make a Negroni with Santa Ana gin from Sleeve League Distillers, who make
Woof, woof,
Andulama.
woof.
So this is a distillery that we've been a fan of these guys for a while, and back in January, which feels like about 100 million years ago,
Different
I
lifetime, wasn't it?
totally different lifetime. I mean, it feels like it was about 3 years ago. I went up
Huh.
to visit the Sleeve League, which is right up the top of Ireland. I went foraging for seaweed with them. It was an amazing time. They are wonderful, and we've got a whole range of their products that we're going to talk about in a separate video. But for the purposes of today, basically, we've got this gorgeous gin they make. So their traditional gin, their Andulaman gin, contains 5 different kinds of seaweed. But their Santa Ana gin, is basically their Andulaman gin that has been aged in Rioja barrels. So
Yeah,
it's got
baby.
just, I mean, I just thought I need to take some samples, don't I? So let me get into my cupboard of goodies. But it's got this gorgeous sort of rose gold hue to it, which I don't know if you can see there. Possibly, possibly not. But it's got
Yeah.
that umami ocean quality, but it's also got those gorgeous sort of spices and woodiness from the barrel. So we're going to give that a quick little neat taste. Oh yeah,
It's sort of like, because you've got to remember as well, like it's 57% ABV, so it packs a real punch. But it's such a gentle assassin, because it's got such sweetness sort of on the front, doesn't it? Right on the front of the palate, before it sort of dries down and everything. So it's very deceptive. It's a sort of drink that is so delicious. I feel like you could drink quite a lot of it and then realize you've drunk half a bottle of 57%
yeah,
spirit.
absolutely. It's absolutely beautiful enough to drink as a sipper, which is dangerous because sort of that bit of sweetness that comes in from the barrel plays against that salty umami quality from the gin itself.
Which balances really well in something like a Negroni, which of course has its own sort of bittersweet sort of palatable balance to it in itself. So to have that from the start with the core, with the base spirit, is what you're looking for, really.
Yeah, exactly. So we have slightly different vermouths that we're going to use today, but what we do have, again, so I'm going to have to be slightly sparing with my Negroni because I've only got a tiny bottle of this with me. I've got a beautiful big bottle waiting for me in the UK, but I need to get back in order to drink it. But I do have this teeny tiny little Campari. How cute is that?
Little Campari, I'm the same.
Oh my God, you've got a little one as well. Because
Yeah.
what I do, I mean, I've got other aperitivo here, but I figured we were going to try and do sort of this as a control sample for Negroni Week, and then we're going to stag off and use our own individual.
So I've been to Sacred Gin, who are based in Highgate in North London. And they are absolute gems of people. And they are, because you guys in New Zealand, I keep seeing all your amazing pictures of vermouth from here and vermouth from there, and everyone's doing vermouth. And in the UK, it's still not that trendy. Well, I wouldn't say it's not trendy, just not that many people have caught on. But Sacred have, and they've released a whole range of vermouths. So we've got this English dry vermouth here, and when they say dry, it is dry as a bone. Loads of like orchard fruits, grapes, and stuff. You'd love it. And then this one, which I'm going to use for a Negroni, is the English spiced. So it's got those sort of darker notes to it. There's almost an element of like sour cherry in it. It's got a hint of sweetness without any sweetness, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just going to remind myself now.
Oh, it's very, very dark in color, isn't it? It's almost
very rich.
Here.
Very, very rich, very brown.
Yeah.
It sort of matches the Santa Ana in a way, in that you get sweetness straight away. There's a lot of like ripe, rich fruit in there, but the dry down is very bitter. So you're balancing out all of the fruits in there. So you've almost got like, there's cherries, peaches, plums. There's all the dark stuff, which kind of influences the colour. You've got some citrus in there. You've got things like cloves on the dry down. You've got even a hint of licorice on the dry down. Cubeb pepper gives it a little bit of a snazzy uplift into the nose. And savoury as well. Takes away some of the sweetness of it. It gives it a little sort of vegetal aspect to it as well. So it's quite an all-rounder. But overall, it's the champion of it, I would say, is the dark fruit element of it.
Yeah. Great. Okay. I think that kind of answers my question, because I've got two really beautiful New Zealand vermouths here. I've got Reed and Reed, which I've been using a lot of.
Yeah.
Made with Pinot Noir grapes. They use a lot of gin botanicals in their vermouth. So they've got all of the juniper, and they've got the licorice root, and the star anise, and the orange and the cassia, plus some native botanicals in there. You've got like your horopito, your manuka, your kawakawa. So that's a gorgeous sort of spiced, quite dry vermouth. And then on the other hand, I've got the Carven Rosso vermouth, which is slightly, it sort of borders more on like, it's like a spiced tawny port. It's slightly sweet, slightly more.
That feels like the direction you'd want to go in, I would have thought, to match up. No?
Match up? Okay, let's do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what are we doing? Talk us through it, Claire.
So what we're going to do, first of all, so I've got a nice little glass with some ice in it, and I'm going to pop a little orange zest in there with
baby.
Aggressive orange peeler. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do equal parts gin, vermouth, and bitter aperitivo. So here we go. So this is going to be a really tiny little Negroni.
But this is what I've ended up with.
Yep.
Yeah.
So mine's going to go...
Oh, yeah, but let's get a bit of ice on the subject.
Oh, you definitely need ice in there. And then orange peel. Now, some people like a slice of orange, don't they? But I think that really depends on what's going in your Negroni. So if you're a person that if you want to sort of turn up the sweetness of it a little bit, you slice.
I feel like with all the fruit and kind of porty elements we've got in here, it's quite a sweet mix already.
Yeah.
And
so
Santa Ana has its own sweetness to it as well. So I like the bitterness of the
Perfect. Well, cheers.
On the nose, it's quite buttery balanced, isn't it? I get quite a lot of butter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is lovely. It's quite enticing.
And lots of lovely fruit spice. So I'm going to go.
I was going to say the butter sort of goes quite well with the they're almost like baking spices in the vermouth as well.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's really nice, isn't it?
So good, because the gin. So this is the first time I've done a Negroni with a gin that's quite this savoury. Yeah. Because so far I've been doing my Negronis with my more sort of citrusy gins or some of my barrel-aged gins, but nothing that's had quite such a salty umami element. And it honestly, it brings in an entirely different vibe. Do you know what? I've just had an idea of something else I want to add to this. So the thing is, I know with the traditional Negroni, it's not in the recipe to add extra bitters, but I actually have started doing this because obviously there's so much bitterness already in the Campari or the aperitivo or whatever you're using. You could tell wine when I tried to say aperitivo. Over that.
Also, you do the big accent. You throw in the huge Italian accent, which is quite funny.
Aperitivo. Oh my God, Cam, crucify me. But I've started adding I've started adding these bitters to cocktails you wouldn't normally add them to because they're delicious and I like them.
Yeah, because it balances. It's in there, but it adds a different colour to it. Yeah.
And so these bitters, these coffee and pimento bitters from Elemental Distillers in Marlborough, who make Roots Gin, they are so gorgeous. And the coffee and pimento, it's got that slight umami quality. So I think it's going to go beautifully with the Santa Ana. And also the coffee, sort of the dark, bitter richness of the coffee works beautifully in a Negroni. So I made a Negroni with Little Bitty recently with these bitters. And my friend said
Yeah.
it was the best one they'd ever had because it just added a whole extra layer of flavour to it. So I'm
Right.
going to chuck a couple little dashes of those in without breaking
I'm
them.
an absolute charlatan, Claire, because you know what I'm about to say, don't you?
What?
I don't like coffee.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, I don't trust people who don't like hot drinks.
Yeah, I'm as close as you get to somebody you trust, right?
Oh my God, that's so good.
So I've got a little plan here. I'm going to go a deviant route, inspired by our friend Paul Tucker, who steeps Carolina Reaper chilies in vodka. I think he probably drinks it by itself because he's such a nutter. But what we like to do is pop a tiny little dash of it into our drinks because it just gives that sort of sensation, the kind of tingly sensation you get from chili without it being sort of raw heat. But it's very strong stuff. So this stuff, Belvedere vodka, very good standard of vodka. I've been steeping a chili in here for about a year and a half. Look how dark it is. It's that was vodka. That was vodka a year and a half. It's literally golden. So that's how strong a Carolina Reaper is, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm literally just going to pop in the tiniest. I haven't got a spoon to hand, but I like to use the back of a spoon. But I'm literally just going to put 2 or 3 drops of that. That's probably too much. That's probably going to blow my head off. You
can handle it.
I mean, I can. Absolutely, I can handle it. Let's see what that does to things. Yeah. So what you get the extra palate lift of having the spice on there. So it just stimulates a different little bit without me feeling like I've added chili, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like an extra sensory response.
Yeah. I kind of wish I had some to add to this now because I
think because if you had coffee and chili, it would be a great thing, wouldn't it?
It's
in fact, do I even have some coffee here? Go on,
it's like we can't just have like a delicious steak, for example. We always have to faff around and add delicious things like truffle and all sorts of things and samphire to our fish and everything. It's like we take a good bog standard Negroni that's already good, but we add elements to it to make it fancier and more delicious. And it's like you think
we've ruined each other, haven't we? Really, when it comes to
yeah. I'm so on board with this, but already I'm like, I would like to put some chili in this on top of coffee and pimento, and I don't feel like that would be too many things.
No, it wouldn't be because the coffee and the pimento bitter, it's all bound together, and the choice of vermouth binds together with the Santa Ana gin. It's all from the same sort of palatal world, and so you're not adding like a load of confused things. There's a synergy there. There's a lot in common between the choice of vermouth and the choice of gin, which is sort of important. You know, if you're picking a dry gin, you want like, you know, a kind of dry vermouth like this one. Whereas for something like this, you want to bind in all the richness together. As you say, otherwise it just is confused, you know? Yeah, no, it's interesting. This is an absolute joy, isn't it? Let's go off shot and finish these because, you know, I've got to have a little moment myself, I think, with this bad boy.
Yeah, we will. And then we'll come back with part 2 of this episode, which is where we're going to veer off and make some interesting Negronis using sort of local products to us and things that we don't both have. But this is our control sample. And what a control sample it is. And cheers to Moira and James, because Moira and James are so awesome.
The kindest people in the world.
Yeah, and we honestly can't wait till we can both get there at the same time. Once, you know, COVID has left us able to travel again and that sort of thing.
It'll probably be next year, realistically now. But it'll probably be the first plane journey we do make together. Will be to go and see the guys. Yeah, let's do that.
We'll be on that seashore picking that pepper dulse, the truffle of the sea.
Yeah, do you reckon we could dry it and get it on the plane back?
Totes.
I reckon that will get through
it in a fish tank in London.
Yeah, because you know, obviously, it's important that you have more gin memorabilia in your house. So I don't think you've quite got enough, Claire.
No, I think my flatmates will be disappointed if I don't get more.
Exactly, they're absolutely devastated. Cheers.
Right. Cheers.
Cheers.